Hey everyone, Jake here for American Muscle, and in this video we're taking a look at the AFE Magnum FORCE Stage 2 cold air intake in black with the Pro Dry S filter, fitting 2011 to 2023 Chargers with the 5.7 liter Hemi. Now this intake is going to appeal to the Hemi owner who's looking for both form and function in one easy to install package. This is a premium intake that features a high flow filter and a heat shield for an all-inclusive package that looks as good as it functions. And the best part is, there's no tuning required. The Hemi is a big engine, and big engines need to breathe in a lot of air. Now, AFE has made a name for themselves in all things airflow related, hence the company's name, Advanced Flow Engineering. And as you can see, this thing is going to have some serious airflow to it. The filter itself is a huge 8-inch, 360-degree dry filter. Now, AFE calls this their Pro Dry S. So this is oil-free, and that means low maintenance for you. This is reusable as well, so unlike your stock filter, you can just clean this off, put it right back in the car, and be on your way. AFE claims 99.2% efficiency from the filter, and given the size of this thing, including the little conical area right in the top here, that's probably accurate. This has a huge amount of surface area with the height and these deep pleats, and again, that conical section up there too. Now, also included in this package is a lightweight aluminum heat shield with included seals, which you see over there. Now this is going to fit nice and snug with your hood and inner fender, so while this is not a completely enclosed filter like your stock airbox or some of AFE's other options, you're still going to get a nice seal around the filter itself to protect it from just sucking in hot air in the engine bay. Now, one benefit here is that this is going to take up a lot less space than a full airbox. You'll also get very easy access to clean out or change out the filter. And when you pop the hood, you get to admire the whole setup right there. Now, all that air is then routed through into this large diameter intake tube into your throttle body. Now, this thing is pretty darn big, and you're going to get some additional resonance for some cool intake sound. And this is all very smooth, so it helps funnel that air smoothly into the engine itself. Now, another big positive here is that this is a no tune required intake, so you don't need to invest in a custom tune or even a flash tuning module to get this set up to work on your car. Just install the intake and you're off to the races. However, as with any other intake, and I always say this, don't expect huge power gains. You should feel some difference in the way your car responds since you are funneling more air through the intake and into the engine, but big power gains are not going to be the end result of any intake. You will get an appreciable difference though. Again, this is going to flow a lot more air than your stock intake. And of course, even though a tune is not required with this setup, if you want to make the most out of it, you can always invest in a flash tuning module, a custom tune, or other breathing modifications like an exhaust to help make the most difference. As is typical with AFE's intakes, construction is also a highlight. The intake tube here is made from roto-molded cross-linked polyethylene. So this is very smooth on the inside, it's very lightweight, and it's gonna be nice and heat resistant as well. The heat shield is made from high-strength 18-gauge aluminum that's been powder-coated this nice wrinkle black. You've got the cool AFE Power logo right here, riveted in as well. So this is going to make for a clean look, and that powder coating means extra protection against the elements. And that filter we were talking about earlier is a 3-layer synthetic media, and it features what they call progressive layering. So each subsequent layer of that filter gets more and more dense to provide excellent filtering efficiency and dust holding. And since this is a dry filter, again, maintenance is simple. You can just wash this out, let it dry, put it back in. The filter also features a flexible polyurethane coupling down here for easy installation, and you get all the stuff that you need to install this right there in the box, but we'll talk more about that in a moment. As far as pricing is concerned, this intake is going to run you about $475. And it does make it one of the more premium options on the market for these cars. But this is a quality piece. It's backed by some solid engineering on AFE's part as well. So if you want a quality intake without having to spend a huge fortune, this is a great way to get it. So let's talk installation. Now this is a rather straightforward installation, so we're going to give this a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter. You should budget about an hour to get this all wrapped up, and you'll be ready to get back on the road. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the kit comes with all of the stuff that you need to get this done. This is an entirely bolt-in setup that won't require you to make any modifications to your car. Now, you may have to trim a bit of this tubing, and the weather stripping can be a little bit of a bear to get it exactly the way you want it, but it's really not that hard at all. It's enough chatter from me though. With that, let's throw it out to the shop and we can show you how to get this installed on your own charger.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, a pair of diagonal cutters, 8, 10, and 11 millimeter sockets. What's up guys? Today we're installing an intake on our charger, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is remove our engine cover. This is held in by a few pins going into grommets, so we can just pull up to pop them off. Next we can remove our intake tube. We have an 8 millimeter bolt on a clamp here, and we also have a connector to disconnect off of our sensor. So I'll take an 8 mil socket to loosen up these clamps. And then we can push in on the gray tab on our connector to pop that off. And then we can just wiggle that off the throttle body and off of our airbox. Next, we're gonna remove our intake box. We have an 8 millimeter bolt here, and we need to remove our crankcase hose. So we can twist this to free it up and work it off. And we'll take our 8 millimeter socket for our bolt. And then we can wiggle this out. Now, the last thing we need to remove is this fender bolt that's going to be right in front of our coolant tank. So we're going to take a 10 millimeter socket and pull this out. So the first thing we're going to do is install that rubber isolator into the hole for the fender bolt that we took out. We'll just thread that in and just get that hand tight. Next, we're going to assemble our intake box. We have a bunch of weather strips that are going to go on this. The longest one is going to go across the top here, and then the middle size is going to go on this bottom edge, and the small thin one is going to go on the outside here. So we're going to slide these into place. I've got a pair of diagonal cutters just in case we have to cut one to length, so we can get started on that. So now I'm going to start on this edge, and we'll just push our seal into place and just work our way around. Now on this edge we have a little bit of excess, so I'm going to take that pair of diagonal cutters, just cut that flush. Cutters and cut that off flush. Next, we're going to have to transfer over our grommet from our factory airbox to our new one. So now this has a little metal sleeve that you can push out to be able to get the grommet out. So we're going to do that, transfer it over, and then we'll slide that sleeve back in. So now we can work this metal sleeve back and forth to pop that out. And then that'll make it a lot easier to slide our grommet out. And then we'll slide that into our new airbox. And then we can get our sleeve and wiggle that into place. So now we're ready to install our intake box. First, we're gonna have to put down this adhesive foam pad. This is gonna protect the paint from getting scratched from here. So that's going to sit right down there next to our air inlet. So we can peel the backing off of there. And then I'm just going to stick this down right there. And then with that in place, we can drop our intake box in. We're going to reuse the factory bolt going through our grommet. And then for our little isolator, we have a bolt with a lock washer and a flat washer that'll thread into that. So now we can take a 10mm socket to tighten down our fender bolt. And then we'll switch to an 8mm socket for the bolt going through our grommet. Next, we're going to need to grab our factory intake pipe and transfer over our temp sensor over to our new one. Now we do have a new grommet that this will be going into. So we're going to grab our new pipe and slide our grommet into place. And then we're just going to twist on our sensor and wiggle it out. And then we're going to slide it into our grommet, wiggle it in. And then we can get this installed onto the car. Next, we can install our coupler onto our throttle body. Now we have a wider side of this coupler. That's going to be going towards the throttle body. Slide that on. And then next we can grab our intake pipe. We're going to get our clamp and slide that over the edge. And then we're going to be putting this side through our intake box first. And then we're going to be getting our pipe over the coupler on our throttle body. You might have to push a little bit to the right to get this on. Next, we can come back to our box, and we have 2 holes for bolts to go into our intake tube. So we're using that same bolt as before with the lock washer and the flat washer. Might have to rotate this a little bit to get the hole to line up. And then you can take a 10mm socket to tighten these down. Now while we're over here, we may as well throw our filter on. Slide this grommet on the filter over our intake tube. If it's a little tight, you might have to take an 8mm socket to loosen up the clamp a little bit. And then we can take that 8mm socket to tighten down our clamp. So now we can go back and wrap up all of the rest. We have our crankcase breather hose that we can slide onto that fitting. And then we'll plug in the connector for our temp sensor. And then we can come up to the clamp, get it in place, and we're going to take an 11mm socket to tighten it down. Now the last thing we need to do is reinstall our engine cover. Now we have these 4 posts here that our 4 little grommets are going to clip into. So we can just lay this down, line it up with our grommets as we go down, and then press it into place.
That's going to wrap it up here for our review and install of the AFE Magnum FORCE Stage 2 cold air intake in black with the Pro Dry S filter, fitting 2011 to 2023 Chargers with the 5.7 liter Hemi. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, for all things Charger, be sure to stick with us right here at AmericanMuscle.com.